Hello, everyone. This is Christian Duke from StrengthAddicts.com, brought to you proudly by IronMagLabs.com, your go-to source for all your bodybuilding and fitness supplements. We have another great podcast for you as we head into the 2017 NPC Masters Nationals. I'm very pleased to introduce another member of TC Muscle, that's Brian Hoydick's group. I'm talking about NPC nationally ranked bodybuilder Steve Polsfuss. Steve, how are you tonight?
Doing great, Christian.
Awesome. Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, we've been trying to do this. You downloaded Skype and then had to download
Yeah,
something else. I mean, technology is a beautiful thing.
definitely.
Now you're, a veteran to the national stage. You've done just recently the Team Universe, where you also worked with Brian, and you've done North Americans. Now you're getting ready for the 2017 NPC Masters Nationals, which, if folks have not heard any of the prior podcasts that I've done, I spoke to the promoter, uh, the NPC Mid-Atlantic Zone chairman, Mr. Gary Udit, who tells me that there are over 1,120 competitors at this show, over 150 IFBB Pro cards that will be awarded, which is the big leagues, right?
That's crazy. Yeah, this show is the hardest one of the Masters group to do. I mean, the best show up at this one.
Yeah, and I have to tell you, over the years, I mean, I've always obviously looked at the Masters, but years ago, I would say maybe 10, 15 years ago, the Masters, I think, in my estimation as a fan, writer, whatever, seemed almost like a slightly easier way to get the pro card. Now I would say it's probably, on its head. I think it's actually insanely difficult because you have guys that have been, knocking on the proverbial door for 5, 10, 15 years, and they're dangerous in that, man, they'll, come short of dying to get that pro card.
I totally agree. I mean, it's like the guys they're not out partying anymore. They're like they get their shit together and they're going for it now.
Yeah, and by dying, I just mean like, I mean, we'll talk about it later, but I mean, you are one of these guys that has a really physically demanding job, and when there's no carbs, there's no fat, you're running on fumes, as he told me. So we'll get to that. But that's not going to stop you. So let's get started here. And the first question I have for you, my two go-to initial questions, but nonetheless, how did you get involved with weight training?
Just sports, and I've always been like pretty athletic and physical, and I've always just liked the looks of being muscular. So I've always lifted weights a little bit here and there. Even when I was a little kid, I'd like be doing something. We had one of those bull worker things when I was a little kid, and I used to do that thing all the time. Like that thing you squeezed together, like it was like springs that you pulled it together.
Yeah. And you come from a background in sports also, where you played hockey and football, right?
Correct. Track, baseball. I mean, I did them all.
So you're like really athletic, and you hit the weights. Now, one of the things that I see people at the gym, I see people at expos like the Arnold Classic or Dave Lieberman's Natural Ohio, and there's a lot of people that have great physiques. I would say like good physiques, that good muscle, good balance, aesthetics, all that. They would never in a million years get on a stage. They would not want a panel of judges scrutinizing their physique. They would not want photographers. They would not want audience. And a lot of people paint a picture that backstage is all harmony and brotherly love, but there's actually a little bit of drama back there too sometimes. So what got you to the point where you wanted to compete? Was it a magazine, or someone tell you at the gym, or what? What?
Yeah, I got talked into it at the gym. Like I said, I trained at the gym. Like it was called the gym in Plymouth. It was like where all the pro wrestlers and those bodybuilders. It was just, I mean, it was like insane gym back in the day. And one of the girls was like Miss USA, and Joni Hoffensberger, and she talked me into doing the first Mr. Minnesota I did, and I ended up winning the heavyweight class my very first show out.
That's crazy. And just so folks got that, you've basically been a big guy like the whole span of your career. I mean, you're not like a bantamweight, right?
Nope, I've never. I mean, I've been 200 pounds since I got out of high school. Like
Yeah.
I competed at my first show was a heavyweight, so I was like 204 or 205, I think. The
Right.
first time I ever competed.
For
And I
sure.
haven't really went up that much. I mean, I've just gotten better quality over the years.
So we're not going to see you in classic physique at the Masters Nationals then.
No, I could never make that, I don't think.
All right. So, and nothing against classic physique. I think it's awesome if, folks can do various divisions. But again, if you're a heavyweight or a super heavyweight, there's just really no way to do that. Now, being that you've done national shows before, what would you say is your mindset for this one? I mean, I know that you said that you had done Team U, and something that you told me off air, you're 51, but you can compete down, right? So you said that at Team U you competed in the 50s. You also competed in the 40s. Talk to us a little bit about that, how that went, and how you're thinking for this show.
Well, this show, at Team U, I thought, usually they start with the younger classes and they go older as they go up. Mm-hmm. So they'd have started at the 35s and then went 40s, 50s, 60s. Well, at Team U, they did it just the opposite. I thought I was going to get out there and get the little stage time because, it's been a little while since I've been out there again. Mm-hmm. So I thought, well, it would be a good way to get out there and, get warmed up and get ready for the 50s. So I did, see where I'm at in the 40s. And they did just the opposite. So they started with 60s, 50s, 40s. So it kind of reversed on me there. So this show, I'm just sticking with the 50s.
Gotcha. And it's interesting to me too, because again, you are a seasoned bodybuilder. You have done a series of national level shows. Now you've prepped yourself, but now you're working with Brian Hoydick of TC Muscle. What would you say is the difference between, being the athlete and also being responsible for your prep and working with someone like Brian?
It's just when you're doing it yourself, you start to second guess yourself a little bit more, where you're like, maybe you'll ask somebody something or do something, you just start to listen to too many people. It's like too many chefs in the kitchen then. Right. It's, when you're with like someone like Brian, he's straight up and just, it's just like you don't have to even think. He gives you your workouts, gives you everything's just straight through, it's just like it's easy.
And that's something that I think is really cool too, because honestly, like I know that some coaches will quote unquote prep you from Skype or on a cell phone and they're like, in another continent. And, I think the internet's great. I think you could, in your hotel room, you could probably like pose and maybe through Skype. But I just think it's different when your coach is there. And also the fact that, Brian told me there's going to be like, 22 or 23 TC Muscle competitors at Masters Nationals. That camaraderie, I'm sure, also sort of lends itself to like more moral support to know that you're there with other people from your
definitely. I worked out with like a lot of those guys this winter. Like when I lived out with my fiance in Ohio this winter, so I got to work out with Brian quite a bit, and all some of these young guys that were on the team that are just like phenomenal. It's just like there's the team is just there's some serious talent on that team.
And also something that I want to say about the team too is that, and this is no disrespect to bikini competitors, for your competitors, because I have mad respect for everyone that I don't compete. I've never competed, so I have just insane respect for competitors. But I think a lot of times when we hear the term team in the fitness industry, we're thinking more of the bikini to figure. The TC Muscle is a team that encompasses all the divisions, but quite frankly, I would say it is a hardcore team. It is a team of like really, really, just all-out muscle, crazy veterans, a lot of national folks like yourself. So, I think, when people hear team, I don't think TC Muscle is what comes to mind. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Just like I said, he's got some young guys that just blow your mind. They're like, you're like, wow, they're like 20 some years old. They look like that already.
Yeah, it's crazy. Now, one of the things that I think a lot of people want to know when it comes to masters level bodybuilders is, is Steve Polsfuss of the frame of mind or the school of thought that the IFBB Pro Card is the crowning achievement? In other words, you will earn the IFBB Pro Card and then retire, or is the Pro Card going to be a vehicle to competing in the future as a professional bodybuilder?
It's like you set your goals to just, at first it's just to get it, it's like you're just kind of, that's your pinnacle of, that's kind of the pinnacle of this thing is to just get there to start with. And then, it's like from there, you just kind of like, all right, maybe I'll try one and, see where I fall into this, in with the rest of these guys.
Well, it's funny because this is like probably one of the only sports where you, I mean, you really don't get an opportunity to really savor your victory. Like, so, what show are you doing next? Where are you going next? What are you doing next? You know what I mean? It's like, tell us. You know what I mean? So it's like, it's one of those sports where you can't even really like savor the victory. Everybody wants to know what you're doing next. It's a like very
well,
fast-paced.
there's so few shows. I mean, like, well, pro shows there's like more, but like national level there's only like what is there 5? I mean, there isn't very many of them, and they're all spaced pretty close. There's like, I wish they would have ever did one in the springtime. There's nothing in the spring, and then they're torture you through the whole summer into the fall. I mean, that's it.
Yeah. Now, speaking of torture, let's talk about your day job, because two things I want to ask you about that. Number one, you told me you work in underground utilities, which really, I can't think of a scenario where that would not involve like some like really hard work, and it's summertime, so I would imagine,
this last week has been brutal. I mean,
yeah,
plus humid and zero carbs, not a good combo.
Exactly, and then on top of that, you said you're not one to really historically have done much cardio, but it seems like that's been incorporated as well.
Yep.
So talk to us a little bit. I mean, like, how do you work, a grueling job with no carbs and no fat?
Just battle your way through it. I mean, you're falling. Drive to a job. Sometimes you're like tipping over at the steering wheel, and you gotta sit there for a second. You're dozing off. You just got to get yourself up and get moving.
And then the cardio. Now, you had told me that normally in the past, if you as far as the cardio goes, if your calories weren't there, you reduce the meal intake, or you would do basically train hard or whatever, but you actually wouldn't do the cardio. Like, why was that put into the plan, do you think?
I think it just helps you get a little bit. I think it does help you get a little bit leaner in certain area. Like, my legs used to be always like the last place that would come off for me, and now it seems like they're one of my stronger parts. As these last few shows, anyways.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, I think so too, and I think the real issue with cardio too. I mean, I think it's a myth when people say if you overtrain cardio, your legs will get smaller. I mean, I don't know if that's true or not. And also, I mean, who would find out? I mean, you'd have to like literally live on a treadmill or elliptical. But I think with
plus you have to find a guy that had big legs, and you'd have to see what his legs did. I mean, what do these guys' legs look like to start with that say they disappear? I mean, they're probably not that big to start with.
Exactly. Now, one thing I did want to ask you though, that you had said before we started recording that it really kind of caught my attention was the pressure from local people.
Yeah, it's like when you've done well all the time. Like I used to win every show I did, and it's just like you feel like you should. It's just kind of, you get that thing in your head where you think you got to do good every time. It's just like you kind of get that pressure on you.
And I think I think what you had said too that I thought was really important, and possibly we could use this to impart on other competitors at all levels. NPC, IFBB, local, regional, international, is that you don't really invest a lot of time in sort of even acknowledging some of these Facebook comments, oh, you should have done this, you should have done that, when in reality half the time the people telling you that haven't either competed in God knows how long or have never even been on a stage, right?
Yeah, they're the guys that come up to you like when you're out at a job site or whatever. Yeah, I used to look like you,
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah, you used to, okay.
Exactly.
That's the key word, used to.
Now, the most important question, okay, this is I would be remiss if I didn't ask you this. Are there really 10,000 lakes in Minnesota?
I think there really are. They're everywhere.
That's insane, man. I love that. That's awesome. No, but seriously.
10 billion mosquitoes.
Yeah, I'm sure. So I guess as we wrap up the interview, though, I really seriously appreciate you doing this. I know you hit the stage on Saturday, but I mean, you're in Pittsburgh and you're in Pennsylvania, right? It's a Pittsburgh, right? So
yep.
Yeah. So I mean, this is really like at this point in time, like everybody's hunkered down thinking about the stage, and one of the things too that we had discussed too. I mean, as a seasoned bodybuilder, your training, your supplements, and all that. But I think when it comes to contest prep, those last few days, I mean, a lot could go wrong.
That's the most important part of the whole scenario. I mean, that's where it all boils down to.
And again, yeah, and I think that's where this isn't. I don't want to be sexist. We could apply it to women also, but I think this is where you separate the men from the boys or the women from the girls, because I've noticed that a lot of people will do a show and they're all of a sudden nationally qualified, and now they're a quote unquote contest prep guru. You know what I mean? But the thing is, I think it's these last few days where you really can test someone's mettle if they really know what they're doing. And Brian certainly knows what he's doing, and with 20 plus clients and just a track record of delivering pro cards like really no one else. I mean, he's
and he's definitely not a cookie cutter. Everybody's different. He's got everybody's on a different meal plan. Everybody, I mean, nothing's the same for anybody. I mean, it's like it's weird. I mean, it's what one person's doing is not what the other person's doing.
And I like too that you had said again. You had said that he's not like very like authoritarian, like he's not like like barking orders at you, and I've heard that from a lot of people. I mean, he's demanding, but he's personable. You can work with him.
He's definitely not a dictator. He's not. He listens to what you say, and he works around it.
Awesome, absolutely. Okay, so in closing, who would you like to thank, and where can folks and fans go to stay up to date with you on social media?
Man, first and foremost, I'd like to thank my fiance, Laura Knapp, Brian for all he's done for me, Joe Mazzone, Powerhouse Gym in Berea, my parents for putting up with me for all these years of, they think I'm nuts because they've just never got into this whole thing. And, friends, they got to deal with it too. You just can't do anything when you're doing these shows. You can't go out. You can't, you're kind of on your own when you do these things.
Absolutely. And then for friends and fans, and again, I really seriously mean fans, because I mean, I've seen your YouTube videos, I've seen your photos at, musculardevelopment.com, NPC News Online. I mean, again, and a lot of the comments are like, this massive guy from LA Fitness, so people, they even without you probably knowing it, there's probably people looking at how you're lifting, looking at you while you're eating, looking at you posing, the whole trajectory of contest prep, and those people are undeniably fans. So where can friends and fans go to stay up to date with you on social media?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's nice. It's nice when you get the young kids too come up to you in the gym, and it's just like it's really cool asking you questions, and they're always freaked out when they tell them how old I am. They're just like they can't believe that I still look like this.
No, for sure. Well, lifting is the fountain of youth. Like I told you, there's competitors of all ages, and they just look phenomenal. So are you on Instagram, Facebook, those types of platforms?
Yep, Facebook and Instagram.
Awesome. And how is there a handle for you on Instagram or?
Instagram, just my name, Steve Polsfuss. It's the same thing, just it's like same as Facebook. No secret names or anything.
All right, cool. Not like Iron Rambo or something. I got you, perfect.
Not my work name, Sure Shot or anything like that. It's just like straight Steve.
Gotcha. Good stuff. All right, well, thank you. I really appreciate you taking the time, and I'm gonna look and see how you do. I'm pretty sure you're gonna get a pro card. I mean, I can't, give you like a Miss Cleo experience where I say you will get your pro card, but I'm pretty sure, I'm pretty sure that you will.
I'm just hoping in the running. I hope I'm up in the final group again. I mean, that's when you make the top call outs, even it's just like a achievement.
Oh man, but that's rough.
To hear your number come up when you get that first call out, it's like a relief. I mean, you just get like a relief over you making the first call out alone.
Well, no, I mean, I have no doubt that you'll make the first call out, but it's got to be tough though, because I mean, to get at the Masters, or I should say at the Team Universe, taking top 5, taking top 3. I mean, one thing I could never be as a judge ever, because what do you tell the second place winner? Let's say it's a really razor thin first, second. The second, one thing that a friend of mine, Jimmy Hornbeck, said, he's an NPC judge here in Kentucky, and he told a group of competitors at a posing clinic we had last Sunday, he said, if you don't place well at one show, don't be discouraged and think that you didn't look good, because you can go to another show in front of another group of judges and you can win the whole thing, So
exactly, and that's the way it is. I like that. That's another person I'd like to thank. Last year, I did the North Americans, and I actually won the heavyweights. And I had IFBB Pro Tim Johnson. Okay. He helped me last year for that show, and awesome. He's like one of those guys. He's great too, and he said you just gotta put your, he said, when you're up there, you gotta, portray that you're number one. You gotta give them a reason to not put you as number one, is what he said. Like when you get up there, you're number one. Don't give them a reason to think you're not.
And that's really, really good advice, because not to go off on a tangent, but going back to that 2001 Mr. Olympia, that's one of the things they say that, Jay had, he had beaten Ron in the prejudging, but Ronnie came back in the night show, and even Jay has said it, he didn't feel like the winner. He didn't, it wasn't quite there. And there's something about, there's a stigma with bodybuilders, that they're arrogant or narcissistic, but that's not really the case. It's like you have to be overly self-confident, because if you're not, you're going to get wiped off the stage, no matter how great your physique is.
If you look at a guy and you think that guy's got me beat there, he's got me beat, that's the end of it right there.
Yeah, and you can't be humble, really. I mean, like, you could be humble after you win. So,
yeah.
Absolutely. Well, anyways, thank you so very much for taking the time. For NPC top nationally ranked bodybuilder and TC Muscle member Steve Polsfuss, Christian Duke, StrengthAddicts.com.
Thank you, Christian.
Thank you.